What's going on, everybody? I'm Jason. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we are talking backpacking food. More specifically, the food I plan to take with me on my next FKT. Now, for those of you who have been following my channel for the last year, know that I have recently been getting into FKTs. An FKT is just an acronym for fastest known time and is basically just a speed record on a trail. Now, my next one is going to be on the 85-mile Susquehannock Trail in north central Pennsylvania. There have recently been 2 FKT set on the Susquehannock Trail. The first one being this past summer. It was a supported attempt, which means he had somebody or a crew either setting up aid stations for him, pacing him through the night, giving him whatever he needed at trailheads along the trail. And then there was a second one set this past September, I believe, so just in the last month and a half. It was a self-supported attempt. It actually began as an unsupported attempt, but he misjudged one of his water sources and was forced to get water out of his car as he passed it at one of the trailheads, which made it a self-supported FKT. And he did it in 43 hours. So I will be attempting an unsupported attempt, which means I will be starting and finishing with everything that I start with in my backpack. Obviously, my food load will get lighter as I continue to move down the trail, but I will have no support team, no resupplies of any kind along the trail, other than natural water sources for hydration. So the Susquehannock Trail is 85 miles. It's a circuit hike, which means it's a loop, and it has over 14,000 feet of elevation change. So this is going to be mile per mile, by far, the most vertical elevation gain I have ever experienced on any backpacking trail. So I definitely have my work cut out for me. This is going to be very, very difficult. And what makes this FKT even more difficult is that I'm going to do this in one long, hard push in one day. No sleep. I do plan to bring an emergency sleep system of a piece of Tyvek and a piece of Reflectix and my quilt. All those 3 things are very, very light and take up minimal space in my pack. And I think it's important on a trail of that length, not knowing if I can handle 85 miles in a row. It's probably pretty important or a wise decision to bring some sort of sleep system, especially since I have no support team there to bail me out. So today we're going to be diving in and taking a closer look at my food and all of the calories and nutrition and hydration and electrolytes that are going to sustain me on this FKT. Okay, now to a little bit more detail on the strategy of my food and why I have it laid out in the 4 bags. I normally like to use gallon Ziploc bags for my backpacking trips, and each day will represent 1 gallon Ziploc bag. So if on a normal backpacking trip, this would represent 4 days. But since this is basically just one long day, I wanted to figure out a way to separate out my food and all my hydration products separately so it wasn't just a big jumbled up mess in my food bag. So I decided to divide this trail up into 4 segments. So even though it's approximately 85 to 87 miles, I decided to go a little bit on the high side and be on the safe side and call it 88 miles. So each bag will represent a 22-mile segment. And my goal is to complete each segment in 6.5 hours. Now, the first half of the trail, I will be completing in the daylight hours. So the first 44 miles, which represents the first 2 bags, will be completely finished, hopefully entirely, before it gets dark. So I want to do those maybe a little quicker, closer to the 6-hour time frame for each bag, for each 22-mile segment, so 12 hours. Moving into the nighttime hours, this will give me a little leeway if I can complete those a little faster, maybe have 7 hours to complete these 2. I know that's easier said than done. Once I go into the 40-50 mile range, I will be into uncharted waters for what I have done in the past, and I don't know how I'm going to handle that. I want to continually be moving. I don't ever want to stop if I don't have to. So I know my pace is going to slow down, especially in the darkness, especially after I'm worn out after the first 45 miles, and especially with the elevation vertical gain I will be dealing with on this trail. So that's kind of my plan with why I have this divided into 4 bags. Now, each food bag has approximately 2,500 calories. Actually a little over 2,500 calories, as you'll see here shortly when I get all my food out, laid on the table for you to see all the details of what I'm taking. So if you take the 2,500 calories and divide it by 6.5 hours, that gives me approximately 400 calories an hour. And from my research, ultra runners and marathon runners normally consume between 100 and 600 calories per hour during their race. So obviously the people that are consuming 600 calories have very, very high metabolisms and need all those calories to maintain their energy throughout the race. So I consider myself to have a very high metabolism, so I'm gonna pick a number almost at the top, maybe around 400 calories. So 2,500 calories divided by 6.5 hours, which is what I want to complete each bag in, each segment in, comes out to around 400 to 450 calories an hour. So I think that's what is going to work for me. Now on the Sheltoe Trace, I was a little less than that. I was eating about 5,000 calories per day for 9.5 days, and I lost about a pound a day. So that's why I'm upping my caloric intake a little bit to try to put nutrition in my body that I'm expending on the trail. Another thing I learned during my research is that the human body really can only absorb 200 or 300 calories maximum, even during strenuous activity. But since I'm kind of new at this and want to play it safe and be on the safe side, I would rather have more calories than my body can absorb, because I know I'm going to be expending more calories than that. You know, there becomes a time when it's just a losing battle, and no matter how much you put into your body, it's not going to equal what your body is expending on the trail. But like I said, I want to be on the safe side and not make a mistake, especially since I'm going unsupported. And I have also considered the possibility that eating all this food and forcing all these calories into my body is just going to be like a gut bomb, and I might not be able to handle it. So if there's a chance that I can't eat all this food, or something's not settling well in my stomach, I do have the opportunity to drop some of this food off along the trail and lighten my load a little bit. So that's the other good thing about an unsupported FKT. My bag will continually get lighter as I move further on down the trail. So as I go into the darkness hours on the final half of the trail, instead of carrying 7 pounds with me, I'll be down to 3.5. So that'll be nice to have a lighter pack, half the weight from what I started with, and help me move a little lighter and quicker in the dark hours. But like I said, I'm going to drop something off along the trail if I feel like it's not needed. So I will bring my rucksack and some bear line and an extra food bag with me, so I can throw it up in a tree real quick along the trail if I feel like I don't need all this to complete the circuit. So another part of my strategy on pace to get through the FKT in record time is how fast I need to move on a trail. So I've kind of crunched all the numbers. I know exactly how fast I need to go. And with including stops, I need to maintain a minimum of 3.25 miles per hour. So when you start throwing in stops, I really need to be closer to 3.4, 3.5 miles per hour. And that's going to be very difficult, especially when I get into the latter half of the trail, when I'm worn out and I'm hiking up and down these brutal hills in the darkness. So I'll probably be more like a 2 to 2.5 miles per hour on the last half of the trail. And in order for me to do this, I'm probably going to have to do some light jogging on the flat sections and especially the downhills, because I know that on some of these steep ascents, I will be down to 2 to 2.5 miles per hour. And I don't know how my body's going to handle this. This is definitely uncharted territory for me, but I've been training really hard. I think I'm ready, and I'm going to give it all I have and do my best at maintaining a minimum of 3.25 miles per hour the entire 88 miles. Now, for those of you who really like to crunch the numbers and want to know what that pace is per mile, how many minutes per mile that is, it's approximately 18.75 minutes per mile pace. So it really doesn't sound very fast, especially for someone who is a runner. It actually sounds pretty slow. But when it's sustaining that pace for that length of time, for 27 plus hours, that is where the difficulty lies. This is going to be like 3 full marathons and some. So I definitely have my work cut out for me. And it's going to be brutal. I'm going to have to dig deep. And there's a good chance I'm going to fall off that pace. But that's okay. I'm ready for the challenge and really looking forward to giving it my all. One thing I failed to mention is that I don't necessarily have to beat the 27-hour supported time. I will be in a separate category going unsupported. So if I fall off that pace, I will then refocus my energy and attention to just beating the 43-hour self-supported time. But my goal is to at least set a really solid time in the 30-hour range. Well, it's about time to get these bags opened up and dig inside and show you exactly what I'm taking on the trail for this FKT. Okay, I have my 4 food bags unloaded. So I really like these Packet Gourmet smoothies. I have tried them all. My favorite one's the mango kale, and they quit making it. At least I haven't been able to find it. So I got berry here, and I got one called peach passion. And then, so I'll probably start my morning off with that before I hit the trail, as well as the Cliff Bar. And you can see I have a lot of Muir Energy gels across the table there. I like the Muir Energy because they're all natural ingredients. If you look at the back of these things, you can see there's 6 ingredients in there. Focus in there. And blackstrap molasses is the base product in all of these. So they all have a little bit of a slight molasses taste. Some of them are, you can see they're at the top, fast burning. Some of them are slow burning. Some of them have caffeine, some of them don't. And I really like the honey stingers as well. So I got a couple honey stingers, and you can see across here I also have some goos, another honey stinger, and another goo. Now for hydration throughout the day. I'm trying these new things I found. I've seen them recommended by a couple other backpackers and ultra runners. They're Mountain Ops Ignite, supercharged energy and focused drink. I'm definitely gonna need to be focused on the trail. So these have a natural caffeine source in them. So really excited to try these out and see how they perform. I like Scratch Labs. I had a few of those left over from my last FKT, so I got some of those, and the Noon Hydrations. That one has caffeine in it, and Tailwind. Those were all the ones I used on the Sheltowee Trace, so I have a couple of those left. I decided to throw them in. Here's another item that is new. Liquid IV Hydration Multiplier. I just recently found out about these, and they're going to be my electrolyte source, my primary electrolyte source, and we'll see how those work out. I don't know a lot about them. I just saw that they came highly recommended, so I'm going to be giving those a shot. Obviously, you can see across the table, I like Green Belly Meal to Go bars. I used a lot of these on the Sheltowee Trace. A lot of whole foods, natural ingredients, no preservatives and things you can't pronounce. So I really like the Green Belly bars, and they're full of calories. 650 calories per bar. So those can take you a long way down the trail. I love honey stingers. These honey stinger waffles, high calories per weight. They're only 1 ounce, and you get 150 calories per ounce. So that's great. I love having some sweets on the trail. I love these Sour Patch Kids and Skittles. Just keeps the mind occupied, and it's kind of a slow release sugar while you're on the trail. And of course, after eating lots of heavy, dense bars, it's nice to mix it up with something a little bit light and crunchy. These are just some roasted corn nuts, about 150 calories for a little over 1 ounce bag of corn nuts. And just for good measure, threw in an RX bar. I like those. All right, you can obviously see that on a few days, these last 2 days, I only have 1 meal to go bar. I'm mixing it up with a Pro Meal on the go bar from Whole Foods. So they still are packed with a lot of calories, but those days I threw in an extra RX bar to make up for the difference in calories that they have compared to the meal to goes. All right, at the bottom of each pile, I just got a little sticky note here just so I know what I had in each bag. Each bag is over 2,500 calories, as you can see, 2,600, 2,595, 2,645. Divide that out by the 6.5 hours that I want to complete each 22-mile section. That gives me 439 calories an hour, which is right where I want to be, or 129 calories per mile. So each day is basically the same, with a total of 10,775 calories. So as you can see, almost all 4 segments are replicated just about exactly the same. That made it a lot easier for me figuring out what to pack and take on the trail. Alrighty, there you have it, folks. A detailed look at all the food I plan to take on my next FKT. I do plan to put the Garmin InReach Mini Map Share link in the description box below and on my Facebook page. That is the navigation device that I'll be carrying on my backpack, and it has a Map Share link where you can click on it and watch me in live time where I'm at on the trail, how fast I'm moving, and how things are going overall for me. So if you're interested in following along on my journey, be sure to click that Map Share link so you can follow along as well. Also, if you see anything in my food supply that I may have left out or have some recommendations, I would love to hear your feedback down in the comments below. I love reading the comments, and I will answer any questions you may have as quickly as possible. By the time you are seeing this video, I most likely will be on the trail or heading to the trail to attempt my FKT. And upon my return, I do plan to share the video of my adventure. I will be vlogging on the trail. I won't be doing any walk-by shots for the sake of time, but I will be carrying my camera and sharing what I'm going through to the camera while I'm on the trail. So be looking out for that video, as well as a video detailing how I trained and prepared my body for this FKT. Alrighty folks, that's gonna wrap up the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I am really looking forward to sharing my adventure with you upon my return. Until next time, I'm Jason Wish, wishing you a great time on your next adventure.